Welcome back to my channel at The Movie Optimist, everybody. Today I'm going to talk about last week's movie news and the things that I found the most interesting. Coming in at number 6, Scott Derrickson talked about how he wanted to film The Gorge prior to filming The Black Phone 2, and the idea behind it really intrigued me. Essentially, he wanted to film The Gorge first over The Black Phone for two specific reasons. The first one being that if he filmed The Gorge first, it would have bought him another year where he didn't have to film The Black Phone, and it would have allowed the young actor and actresses to age up into high school roles, and then he could make it a high school coming of age movie, which I thought was really smart. But the thing that intrigued me even more was that he wanted to tackle The Gorge because it was unlike anything he's ever done before. He's firmly done, obviously a superhero movie and a ton of horror movies. That's kind of where he resides in terms of the movies he likes to make. But because this movie was so romance focused, he wanted to tackle that because he's never done it before. And that fascinated me because you have a lot of directors that kind of stay in their lane. You have Martin Scorsese, who likes to make a lot of mob movies, a lot of crime thrillers. He branched out a little bit with The Wolf of Wall Street, but it was still very similar in tone. Quentin Tarantino, he does a lot of drama, thriller, action movies that he kind of stays in that lane. You don't really see him going off to do a romantic comedy, if you will, or a superhero film, if you will. Nolan does these big, thought-provoking, science, action, epic adventures that is very in tone with what he likes to do, whether it be Interstellar, Inception. Now he's doing The Odyssey. He stays in that realm and doesn't really branch out to other genres. I don't know if we'll ever see Nolan do a horror film, but when I heard Scott Derrickson say he wanted to tackle this because he hasn't done it before, and as a filmmaker, as an artist, you should never get complacent, I thought that was really fascinating because how else do you grow if not failing and learning from your mistakes and evolving from that? He's going into a genre that he's never done before, and the fact that he nailed it, I have my review up already of The Gorge. I really like that movie. I gave it an 8 out of 10. The fact that he was able to nail that aspect of love and believing these two people fell in love in such a horrific environment was amazing to me. And as a filmmaker myself, it really makes me want to go out of my comfort zone. For the most part, I like to do noir, detective films, and I'll do a bunch of horror films as well. But I really want to make something that makes people feel, whether that be happiness or affection or love. I really want to do that. And it kind of just inspired me, and this guy is an A-list level director, literally talking about how he still has to evolve and learn, and it makes him one of the more prominent directors that I'm looking forward to seeing what he does next, because clearly he's not settling with just horror. He's going to do more, and I think that's a beautiful thing. Coming in at number 5 is The Goonies 2 is officially in development with Steven Spielberg producing, and that to me is so exciting because I often talk about how much I love Indiana Jones. I love the swashbuckling adventure. I love E.T. I love the original Goonies, that Amblin film. I love just adventure films where people are going on a quest, a fun, epic action adventure. It is my favorite genre. Indiana Jones is my favorite trilogy of all time that isn't a superhero related thing. And the fact that they're coming back to do it now, I don't know what they're going to do, whether there's going to be a new group of kids that are kind of going on a quest with the older version of the Goonies, because the entire cast is coming back. Ke Huy Quan is coming back. They're all coming back. But I would kind of rather them just do away with introducing new kids and just give us a new adventure with these older Goonies. That is ideally what I would like, but I am so excited for this. I haven't heard a lot of people buzzing about it, and I really don't understand why, because The Goonies is wildly popular. A lot of people this generation haven't seen it. I know a lot of kids that look at it and they go, oh, that's an old movie, we don't want to watch that. But it truly is the inspiration for so many children adventure films that came after it. It is like the granddad of them all, in my opinion. I don't care what they do, I just want to hang out with these characters again, and I am so excited that we're getting another one. Coming in at number 4, Mia Goth just joined Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, and holy shit, is that a great casting. Now, for those of you who don't know Mia Goth, she is more predominantly known in the smaller horror film circuit, if you will. She's done a lot of little independent films. She most notably got a lot of her fame from the Pearl movie and Maxine, where she plays an ex-porn star who wants to become an actual actress in Hollywood. And she's been in a bunch of other little lower budget horror movies, but this is her first massive role. She was originally cast in the Blade reboot with Mahershala Ali, but that movie's not going to get made until the year 4062, so we're probably not going to see her in that, but we are going to see her in this. Now, she is known for playing kind of like these quirky, really weird, uncomfortable performances. She is not afraid to get really creepy and go really zany, so I have to imagine that Nolan is casting her in a role that isn't human. She's probably going to play either Medusa or one of the sirens that turn a bunch of people into swine. I'm not sure, but if Nolan cast her in this movie, I know that it's going to be in a role that lets her shine line, and I'm really excited because she is such a fantastic actress and hasn't really gotten her chance to get seen by a wider audience to see how amazing she is, and this is going to allot her that opportunity. And going off of Mia Goth for a second, holy shit, the cast of this film, I don't think there's ever been a Hollywood movie outside of Avengers Endgame that has had this much talent behind the camera. This is a $250 million film that's being filmed with new IMAX technology, and they're filming it around the world. It is literally a worldwide, globe-trotting adventure filmed with new technology never seen before by Christopher Nolan, who is, in my opinion, the greatest director living today and my favorite director living today. I am so excited for this movie. You know, I'm gonna read you off the people that are in this movie because it's truly insane. I gotta take out my phone for this. So obviously you have Mia Goth, but then you also have Tom Hardy, Zendaya, Anne Hathaway, Lupita Nyong'o, Robert Pattinson, Charlize Theron, Benny Safdie, John Bernthal, John Leguizamo, and it just goes on and on and on and on and on and on. And the funny thing about this film is any other franchise in the world that any of these actors get hired for, their agents would be like, hey, Marvel's calling up. They want you to be in one of their superhero films. They make billions upon billions of dollars. So we're gonna make them pay you $5 million to act in their movie. When Christopher Nolan calls, they're like, yeah, hey Mia, you're gonna be in a Christopher Nolan movie and we're gonna pay you with Trident layers and you're gonna get some sushi. And that's gonna be it. And they're like, yep, we sure are. Because everybody wants to work with Christopher Nolan. Anything he puts out on the screen is a game changer. It's an event film. It gets you the entire world's view on you as an actor and an actress and opens you up for more roles down the line. So it makes sense why people are just willing to essentially go into his movies for virtually nothing. Now I know, look, they're gonna get paid. Obviously I'm making a joke, but they're not gonna get paid nearly as much as they would get paid for being in Marvel or like a DC movie, but it's not the point. The point is everyone just wants to work with Nolan, and it's a testament to how revolutionary of a filmmaker he is. The Odyssey is in fact my next most anticipated film of all time. Coming in at number 3, we got a trailer for The Accountant 2. Now, I wasn't able to do a trailer reaction for it because, well, unfortunately, I seen it too late. I didn't realize that it dropped, and I didn't see it until like a day or so after the fact, and the way that YouTube works, the algorithm, they wouldn't have pushed that video, no one would have watched it, so I couldn't really talk about it there, but I'm going to talk about it a little bit here. When that movie first came out, The First Accountant, I was going through a radical change in my life. It was the first time I was moving out on my own. I wasn't going to be with my parents anymore. It was a really scary time. I was going through a lot of other things that I'm not going to bore anyone with here, but that movie was such like a comfort blanket to me. I went out and saw it when I was just in this really dark place, and you know, it got my mind off of everything for 2 hours. I love the story. It's about a man who has autism, who's also incredibly deadly. He is like a hitman, and he does know how to fix books. He is an accountant, and he's really good with numbers, and it was just a really fun, entertaining thriller where you get to see Ben Affleck beat up a bunch of bad guys and protect Anna Kendrick, and John Bernthal plays his brother in it. It was a wildly entertaining movie, but the movie didn't do very well financially. It was praised. People that did see it liked it, but not a lot of people saw it. So my hopes for a sequel were slim to zero. I never thought we were actually going to get one. So cue my surprise when I saw this trailer pop up and I was like, holy shit, they made another one. Now I know it's not getting done by a traditional studio. I'm pretty sure it's either like an Apple original or an Amazon original, but they are putting it in theaters for a limited time, which is really cool because I hate when these big movies go straight to streaming because it doesn't get the eyes on it. It doesn't get to make their money back. It doesn't warrant a sequel unless everyone on the planet watches it. So the hopes of getting An Accountant 3 are slim. I'm happy that I'm at least getting a second one, but if it only went to streaming, like I said, those hopes would diminish for a third one if this one is that good that I want more. It's the same problem I have with The Gorge. The Gorge was so good, and I doubt we'll ever get a sequel because they are making $0 for making that movie. They made the movie The Gorge for 80-something million, and they are not going to get 1 penny back for it. The only hopes that we have for Gorge 2 is if everyone on the planet watches it, which is going to kind of stiff arm Apple into going, you know what, people like this movie, let's make another one. But if it's just a modest success and only a couple million people watch it, it's never going to get a sequel. And it's the same thing with Accountant 2. This movie could be amazing, but if it doesn't light the world on fire and become #1 on the charts and get Apple or Amazon, whoever's doing it, 400,000 new subscribers, they're not going to make a sequel even if it's incredible. So that's just a bummer to me, but at the end of the day, that's not what this is about. I am still excited we are at least getting a second one. I don't need a trilogy. It's just me personally, when I really love something, I want more of it, obviously. Still mad I'm never going to get a Nice Guys 2, but I am really excited for this film, and watching the trailer, I'm glad they are focusing a lot more on the brothers aspect of it here. This is a story where they do have to work together throughout the entirety of the film, whereas in the last one, they only worked together during the last 15 minutes of the film. So I'm excited to see that brotherly dynamic play out over the course of the whole film, because that was one of the best parts of the movie, and they're both just such good actors. How could you not be excited to see them re-team for this film in this action-adventure thriller? Coming in at number 2, we're getting a new original Ridley Scott film called The Dog Stars, and it's starring Josh Brolin, Guy Pearce, and Margot Qualley. Now, the reason why I'm talking about this is because, look, Ridley Scott has his hands in a lot of different franchises. He has The Gladiator, he has Aliens, he has Blade Runner. He's notorious for starting these franchises and still being active in them to this day. I mean, he just made Gladiator 2. He's talking about doing an Aliens movie again. He's talking about wanting to go back and revisit Blade Runner again. Where I think Ridley Scott shines is when he does new things. Now, obviously, I hated the movie Napoleon. I thought it was awful. But before seeing that movie, that was the movie that I was most excited to see him do, more so than a Gladiator 2, more so than a Blade Runner, more so than another Aliens film. I want to see him make something new, because that is what he's so good at. And this movie is about a military pilot who's stranded in this airline bunker during this apocalyptic event happening. And I think that's really fascinating. I'm really happy that he's introducing this new world, this new horror. It's not some political movie. It's not some repeat of a movie he's done before. It's not him doing Blade Runner again. He's doing something new, just like he did in The Martian. Even though he didn't create that idea, he made it, he adapted it from a book. It was still something new that we haven't seen Ridley Scott do before. And I think when he ventures out into these unknown territories is when he makes the best content, because he knows what makes Alien work. He's just going to do the same thing again. He's not going to challenge himself as a filmmaker and try and make something new and compelling. He's just going to rinse and repeat with older movies. So I'm really excited to see a new vision from him come to life that we haven't seen from him before. I don't know how many more original Ridley Scott movies we're going to get. He is an old man. He is up there in age, and we're not going to have him forever. And has he been hit and miss lately? Yeah. He hasn't made a great movie, in my opinion, since The Martian. I liked Gladiator 2. I didn't love it. And every other movie in between I thought was pretty mediocre to terrible. But that's not hampering my expectations for this new movie that he's doing. I am wildly excited for this, and y'all should be too. Especially with the cast in it. I mean, he has Josh Brolin from Sicario. He played Thanos in The Avengers. He's in a movie that I like that a lot of people don't like called Gangster Squad. He is such a fantastic actor. He was originally gonna play Batman. You got Guy Pearce, who's lighting up the award circuit right now on fire with his performance in The Brutalist, so I'm really excited about that. And he is also in a movie that I really love that not a lot of people seen called Lockout, which is like Die Hard in space. Really fun. If you haven't seen it, you should check it out. And Margot Qualley, who's worked with Quentin Tarantino in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but most notably, she's known for her role in The Substance, which was an incredible film, and she deserves all the accolades she's getting for it. How could I not be excited for this movie when you have this talented of a cast involved with the legendary Ridley Scott? And coming in at number 1, and maybe the most anticlimactic, but it's exciting for me, we are getting a Hitch 2 with Will Smith. Now, that is considered one of my favorite romantic comedies of all time. I am a big Will Smith supporter. I love him. I love all of the movies he's in. I don't agree with the slapping that happened at the Oscars. I don't think that anyone should get hit over a joke, no matter how offensive it is. I just don't believe in violence at all. I think violence is never the answer. They should have talked about it and maybe asked him to give her a formal apology after the event. But that being said, I'm still always going to get excited over a Will Smith movie. I've seen every movie he's ever been in, and I'll continue to see any movie he does. But this is special because this is another movie that I watched way back in the day when it first came out, where I was going through a really hard time in my life, and it was just something that helped turn my brain off. So I have a little bit of a bias towards it, but this movie was such a crutch for me and an inspiration to get out there and start socializing more. And I really dug the fact that this movie, first and foremost, was about defying romance in individuals and body types, whereas in Kevin James was obviously a plus-sized man in the movie, and he was going after someone that was considered very beautiful, very skinny, very popular. She was a very famous person, and you wouldn't typically think that someone like him could get that type of girl, but this movie was really peeling that back and showing that love isn't about what's on the outside, but what's on the inside. And I think that that's a message that should be more prevalent to this day, especially with the new dad bod trend being like this big thing. Not everyone is the perfect specimen of a body. Not everyone has the Greek god chiseled abs. And I like seeing the underdog get the girl, and I like seeing someone like Will Smith help that happen. And I think more people should understand that striving to have the perfect body isn't the right way to get the perfect person. I'm not saying working out and trying to be the peak version of yourself isn't a good thing. I mean, of course, working out and being healthy is a good thing, but not everyone has that luxury. Not everyone has the time to go out and do something like that, and they shouldn't feel that because of the way they look, that they can't be with somebody that they genuinely want to be with because of how their body looks. I just think that's a really negative outlook on life, and if you love something and you love somebody, or you want to be with somebody, you think somebody's beautiful, shoot your shot. It should be about what's on the inside, not the outside, and I'm really excited to see that translated again in Hitch 2. I'm really excited to see what new love he helps blossom in this sequel. What does an older Hitch add to his teachings now that he's much older and has been with Eva Mendes' character for as long as he has? How does that change the way he helps other people fall in love? Is Eva Mendes and him still even together? I'm really curious, because Eva Mendes has given up on acting after marrying Ryan Gosling, and she pretty much told him, like, look, you go off, you make the money, you make the movies, and I'll stay home and make sure that our kids are always with at least one of their parents. And I think that's commendable, but that makes me question whether or not she'll be in the movie or not. So only time will tell. We'll see. But yeah, guys, that's my movies of last week news and the things that I think were the most interesting to talk about. If you like stuff like this, please tell me in the comments down below if you want me to continue doing it. Give me a like, a subscribe, and as always, guys, I hope you have a great rest of your weekend, and I'll catch you next time.